Captain Lee Min-ho walked across the bridge of the exploration ship Endurance. The stars looked peaceful through the big windows. His crew of 200 humans worked quietly at their stations. They had been traveling for 3 months, looking for new planets where humans could build homes. She was the communication officer and had been watching the screens all morning. There are many ships coming toward us. They are moving very fast. Minho moved to look at her screen. The green dots were getting bigger and closer. There were too many of them, and they were moving in perfect lines like soldiers marching. "Many ships do you count?" he asked. 47 ships, sir? There'd be more behind them. Park Ji-won's voice was getting worried. They are not answering our calls. Minho felt his stomach get tight. In all his years of space travel, he had never seen so many alien ships in one place. Wake up everyone on the ship. Tell them to get ready for trouble. The alarm bells started ringing through the ship. Red lights flashed in every room. Crew members ran to their positions. Some grabbed weapons. Others went to the engine room to make the ship go faster. "Sir, they are surrounding us," said Kim Dong-woo from the engine room through the speaker. "We cannot run away. There are too many of them." Before Minho could answer, the space around their ship filled with bright lights. The alien ships were shooting at them with powerful weapons. The Endurance shook like a tree in a strong wind. Sparks flew from the control panels. The lights went on and off. "We are hit. We are hit," shouted Otaemin from the security station. "The left side of the ship is badly damaged. We're losing air in sections 5 and 6. Minho held onto his chair as the ship shook again. Through the windows, he could see the alien ships. They were dark and sharp like knives. Their weapons glowed red and blue as they fired. "Who are they?" asked Dr. Yoon Harry as she ran onto the bridge. She was the ship's doctor and had come to help with the wounded. "I do not know," Minho said. "But they want to kill us." The alien voice came through the ship's speakers. It was cold and angry. "Humans of the ship Endurance, your time is over. We are the HFY. We rule this part of space. You will not build your homes here. You will not travel here. You will die here." More weapons hit the ship, the floor under. Minho's feet cracked. He could hear the sound of metal breaking. The ship was falling apart. "Captain, the engine is dead." Kim Dong-woo's voice was full of fear. "We cannot move. We cannot fight back." Minho looked at his crew. They were scared but still working. Some were hurt and bleeding. Others were trying to fix the broken machines. They were good people who had come to space to find new homes for their families. All crew members, get to the escape pods now, Minho shouted into the ship's speaker system. "This is not a drill. The ship is going to break apart. Get to the pods now." The crew ran through the halls as the ship shook and broke around them. Pieces of the ceiling fell down. Its broken wires sent out sparks. The air was getting thin and hard to breathe. "Sir, you need to get to a pod too," said Park Ji-won. She was bleeding from her head but still working at her station. "Not yet," Minho said. "I need to make sure everyone gets out." Through the windows, he watched the small escape pods fly away from the dying ship. Each pod held about 20 people. They were going in different directions, trying to get away from the alien ships. The HFY commander spoke again. "Little humans, we will find every pod. We will find every person. We'll kill you all. You think you are strong, but you are weak like all the others." Minho grabbed the emergency bag from his chair. Inside were maps, food, and a communication device. "We will see about that," he said quietly. The bridge was breaking apart now. Big pieces of metal were falling from the ceiling. The windows were cracking. Minho ran to the last escape pod as fast as he could. "Captain." Park Ji-won was already in the pod along with 15 other crew members. "Hurry!" Minho jumped into the pod just as that part of the ship exploded. The pod flew away from the Endurance like a bullet from a gun. Through the small window, he watched his ship die in a ball of fire. But his people were still alive. The pods were flying to different planets in the system. The aliens thought they had won, but they did not know humans very well. Humans did not give up easily. They did not die quietly as the pod flew toward the ice moon below. Minho smiled. The HFY had made a big mistake. They thought killing the ship would kill the humans. But humans were like weeds. Cut them down, and they grow back stronger. Real fight was just beginning. The escape pod hit the ice moon's surface like a rock thrown from the sky. Kim Dong-woo woke up with his head bleeding and his ears ringing. Snow was falling through a crack in the pod's wall. The air was so cold it hurt to breathe. "Is everyone alive?" he asked, looking around at the other survivors. 49 people had made it to this frozen world with him. Some were hurt. Others were scared. All of them were cold. 3 people have broken bones, said Dr. Choi Soo-jin as she checked the injured. "We need to get warm fast or we will freeze to death." Outside the broken pod, the wind was howling like a wild animal. The temperature was so low that their breath turned to ice crystals in the air. Kim Dong-woo had been the ship's engineer, so he knew how to fix things. But this was not a machine problem. This was a staying alive problem. "We need shelter." He said, "Help me look through the pod's supplies." They found emergency blankets, some food and tools. Not much, but enough to start with. Kim Dong-woo used the pod's computer to scan the area. 2 miles away, there were caves in the ice mountains. "We move now," he told everyone. "Stay close together, share body heat." Far away on the jungle planet, Dr. Yoon Hae-ri was facing different problems. Her pod had crashed in thick green trees. The air was hot and wet. Strange sounds came from the jungle around them. 38 people had survived the crash with her. "The air is poison," she said, looking at her scanner. "We need to fix our breathing masks, or we will get sick." The trees were huge and covered with vines. Colorful birds flew overhead, making loud noises. In the distance, something big was moving through the jungle. It sounded dangerous. "Stay quiet," whispered Otaman, the security officer.
"We're
not alone here." He had found tracks in the mud near their pod. They were not human tracks. Whatever made them was big and had sharp claws. The jungle was full of things that could kill them. "We need to get up high," Yoon Hae-ri said, "in the trees, away from the ground hunters." Using ropes from the pod, they climbed up into the thick branches. The trees were so big that their branches were like roads in the air. From up high, they could see the jungle spread out like a green ocean. On the desert planet, things were different again. Lieutenant Commander Jang Woo-jin crawled out of his pod into burning hot sand. The sun was so bright it hurt to look at. There was no water anywhere. 34 people had crashed here with him. "We will die of thirst in 2 days," said Lee The-jin, the science officer. She was looking at her water detector. There was no water for miles. But then they saw something strange. Old buildings were sticking out of the sand. They were not human buildings. They were made by someone else long ago. The walls had pictures carved into them that no one could read. "These ruins are very old," Lee The-jin said as they walked toward the buildings. "Maybe older than any civilization we know." Right inside the ruins, it was cooler. The walls kept out the hot sun. And there was something else. Some of the old machines were still working. Lights came on when they walked near them. Doors opened by themselves. "This technology is incredible," Jang Woo-jin said. "It has been working for thousands of years." Back on the ice moon, Kim Dong-woo's group had reached the caves. They were cold and dark, but they were safe from the wind and snow. Using pieces from the escape pod, they made a small heater. It was not much, but it kept them from freezing. "We need to think about food," said one of the survivors. "The emergency rations will not last long." Kim Dong-woo nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. He had also been thinking about something else. Kethfer ships were still up there in space. They would be looking for human survivors. They would come down to check the crash sites. "We need to hide," he said, "but we also need to fight back." On the jungle planet, Yoon Hae-ri was learning about the plants and animals. Many of them were poisonous. But that gave her an idea. "If these plants can poison us, maybe they can poison the aliens too," she said to Otaman. "We can use the jungle as a weapon." In the desert ruins, Jang Woo-jin was trying to understand the old technology. The machines seemed to respond to human touch. When he put his hand on certain walls, new rooms would open. When Lee The-jin touched the carved symbols, they would glow. "It is like these machines were waiting for us," she said with wonder in her voice. The 3 groups were separated by millions of miles. They were on different worlds with different dangers. But they were all human. They were all survivors. And they were all starting to learn the same thing. The Kethver had thought that scattering them would make them weak, but humans were not weak. They were adaptable, they could learn, they could survive anywhere, and they were getting angry. 3 months had passed since the ships crashed. Kim Dong-woo sat in the ice cave, looking at the machine he had built from broken pod parts. Wires and metal pieces were connected in strange ways. It looked like junk, but it was the most important thing he had ever made. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Dr. Choi Soo-jin. She was watching him connect the last wire to a piece of the pod's communication system. "It has to work," Kim Dong-woo said. "We are not the only ones who survived. The other pods went to other planets. I need to know we are alive." He pressed a button. The machine made strange noises and then went quiet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a voice came through the speaker. It was weak and full of static, but it was human. "Hello? Hello. This is Dr. Yoon Harry on the jungle planet. Can anyone hear me?" Kim Dong-woo's hands were shaking as he grabbed the microphone. "Harry, this is Dong-woo on the ice moon. We are alive. 46 of us are still alive." It's a cave filled with happy voices. People were crying and laughing at the same time. They were not alone anymore. "I have 35 people with me," came Harry's voice. "We are living in the trees. The jungle is dangerous, but we are learning to use it." Another voice joined the conversation. "This is Jang Woo-jin on the desert planet. 32 survivors here. We found something amazing in the old ruins. For the first time in 3 months. The scattered humans could talk to each other. They had built a communication network using broken parts and clever thinking. Kethver had tried to separate them, but humans always found a way to connect. Talk every day at the same time, Kim Dong-woo decided.
How we share information.
We help each other. On the jungle planet, Dr. Yoon Harry was excited to share what she had learned. "The plants here are very poisonous," she told the others through the communicator, "but I have been studying them. We can make weapons from them." She had spent weeks testing different plants on small animals. Some plants made the animals sleep, others made them sick. A few plants were so strong they could kill. "The aliens have different body systems than us," she explained. "What hurts us might kill them. What kills us might just make them sick." Otaman had been working with her to turn the jungle into a weapon. "We trained some of the predators," he said. "The big cat-like animals. They attack anything that smells like the aliens." "How did you train them?" asked Jang Woo-jin from the desert planet. "We used alien equipment from their scout ships," Otaman answered. "The animals hate the alien smell. Now they hunt the aliens for us." On the ice moon, Kim Dong-woo's group had become masters of ice warfare. "We use the cold as a weapon," he told the others. "We dig tunnels under the ice. When the alien ships land, we break the ice and they fall through. We also make ice bombs," added another survivor. "We fill containers with water and let them freeze. Then we drop them on the alien patrols. The ice is hard like rocks." The most exciting news came from the desert planet. Jang Woo-jin's voice was full of wonder as he described what they had found. "The old technology in these ruins is incredible," he said. "The machines respond to human touch. When we put our hands on the walls, they come alive." Lee the Jin had been studying the ancient symbols. "The technology is defensive," she explained. "It was built to protect against invaders. And it thinks we are the rightful owners." "What do you mean?" asked Yoon Harry. "The machines help us," Jang Woo-jin said. "They hide us from alien sensors. They shoot at alien ships. They even provide us with food and water. It is like the people who built this place knew we would come," Lee the Jin added. "Everything is designed for humans." The 3 groups began working together, even though they were on different worlds. The Ice Moon team learned to make poison weapons using Yoon Harry's plant knowledge. The Jungle team used ice-making techniques. To preserve their poison plants, the Desert team shared the ancient technology secrets with everyone. "We are not just surviving anymore," Kim Dong-woo said during one of their daily talks. "We are fighting back." Kethver had noticed the change too. Their patrols were disappearing. Their ships were being destroyed. The easy victory they had expected was becoming a nightmare. "The humans should be dead by now," Overlord Zethtak said to his officers. "Why are they still fighting?" "Sir, they seem to be coordinating their attacks," replied his aide. "Even though they are on different planets, they work together. possible. Zethtak growled. We destroyed their ship. We scattered them. They have no communication. But the humans did have communication. They had built it from scraps and determination. They had created a network that connected 3 worlds. And they were using it to plan something big. The aliens think we are weak because we are scattered, Captain Lee Minho said. His voice had joined the network after he had built his own communicator. But being scattered makes us stronger. We can attack from everywhere at once. The human network was complete. The real war was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the humans crashed on the 3 worlds. Kim Dong-woo stood at the entrance of his ice cave, watching another Kethver patrol ship explode in the distance. His trap had worked perfectly. The aliens had landed on what they thought was solid ice, but it was actually a thin layer covering, a deep hole filled with sharp metal spikes. That is the 15th ship this month, said Dr. Choi Soo-jin, as she watched the burning wreckage fall into the ice canyon.
Ow.
The aliens are getting scared to land here. Kim Dong-woo smiled. His people had learned to read the ice like a book. They knew where it was thick and where it was thin. They knew how to make it crack at just the right moment. The frozen moon that had almost killed them was now their greatest weapon. The ice tells us everything, he said into his communicator during the daily talk with the other groups. We feel the vibrations when alien ships land. We know their weight, their speed, their direction. Then we use the ice to kill them. His team had become ice hunters. They moved through tunnels under the surface like ghosts. They could appear anywhere, strike fast, and disappear before the aliens knew what hit them.
All the creatures from the war.
Worlds of the Kethver had no idea how to fight in the cold. We have turned the whole moon into a trap, Kim Dong-woo continued. Every step the aliens take might be their last. On the jungle planet, Dr. Yoon Haeri was having her own success. She had learned to speak the language of the jungle. Not with words, but with chemicals and sounds. The plants and animals had become her army. The red spiders are my favorite, she told the others through the communicator. They are no bigger than a finger, but their bite makes the aliens go crazy. They see things that are not there. They attack each other. She had spent months studying how the aliens' bodies worked. Their blood was different from human blood, and their skin reacted badly to certain plant oils. Their breathing was sensitive to specific spores. Yesterday, a whole alien squad ran screaming from the jungle, said Otaman, laughing. They were covered in purple spots and making strange noises. Harry's poison plants had driven them insane. The jungle team had learned to move like the native animals. They swung from vine to vine high in the trees. They could disappear into the green shadows in seconds. They struck without warning and vanished like smoke. The aliens are afraid to enter the deep jungle now, Yoon Haeri reported. They stay near the edges where their ships can protect them. Even there, my trained predators hunt them. Most amazing changes were happening on the desert planet. Gang Woo-jin had unlocked more of the ancient technology each day. The ruins were like a sleeping giant that was slowly waking up. The defense systems are incredible, he told the others. The ancient machines can detect alien ships from space. They shoot them down with beams of energy that come from the ground. Lee the Jin had been studying the symbols on the walls. She had learned that the technology was not just defensive, it was also educational. The machines were teaching them things about science and warfare that humans had never known. The technology is making us smarter, she said with wonder in her voice. It shows us how to build better weapons, how to understand alien technology, how to fight battles we never imagined. The desert team had become technology masters. They could control ancient machines with their thoughts. They could see through walls and across continents. They could strike at enemies from miles away with perfect accuracy. We destroyed 3 alien supply ships yesterday, Jang Woo-jin reported. The ships were in orbit, but the ancient weapons reached them easily. The aliens do not understand how we can attack them from so far away. Captain Lee Minho had been moving between the 3 worlds in his captured alien scout ship. He had learned to fly it by watching the alien pilots before he killed them. Now he was the link between the 3 groups, carrying supplies and information. The aliens are confused. he told everyone during their daily talk. They do not understand how we are getting stronger instead of weaker. They expected us to die quietly like the other species they have conquered. But we are not like other species, Kim Dong-woo replied. We do not give up. We do not stay the same. We change, adapt. We become what we need to become. The three groups had become something new. The ice team were winter warriors who moved like Arctic predators. The jungle team were poison masters who commanded nature itself. The desert team were technology wizards who controlled ancient powers. The aliens made a mistake, said Yoon Harry. They thought scattering us would make us weak, but it made us diverse. Now we can fight in any environment, with any weapon, against any enemy. And we are not done changing, added Jung Woo-jin. Every day we learn something new. Every battle makes us stronger. The Kethfer had wanted to destroy the humans quickly. Instead, they had created something they had never faced before. 3 groups of survivors who had become masters of their worlds. And now those masters were ready to show the aliens what humans could really do. 1 year had passed since the Kethfer attacked the Endurance. Kim Dong-woo stood in his ice command center, looking at the communication screen that showed his friends on the other worlds. Today was the day they had been planning for months. Today the scattered humans would show the aliens what they had become. Are you ready? Asked Captain Lee Min-ho from his captured alien ship. He was floating in space between the 3 worlds, commanding a small fleet of stolen Kethfer vessels. Remember, we all attack at the same time, as the ice moon is ready. Kim Dong-woo replied. Behind him, 43 survivors stood at their positions. They had learned to use the frozen world like a giant weapon. Every cave, every tunnel, every piece of ice was part of their plan. The jungle planet is ready, said Dr. Yoon Harry from her tree fortress. Her 34 survivors had become masters of biological warfare. The entire jungle was now there. Ally, the desert planet is ready, added Jang Woo-jin from the ancient ruins. His 31 survivors had unlocked the full power of the old technology. The machines that had slept for thousands of years were now awake and angry. Begin the final attack, Min-ho commanded. On the ice moon, Kim Dong-woo pressed a button he had been saving for this moment. Deep under the ice, massive charges exploded in perfect sequence. The alien supply ships that were orbiting the moon suddenly found themselves flying through a cloud of ice chunks and frozen debris. The ice storm is active, Kim Dong-woo reported. As he watched the alien ships try to navigate through the deadly field, their supply lines are cut off. The frozen chunks of ice hit the alien ships like bullets. The cold metal became brittle and cracked. Ships that had seemed powerful and frightening were now breaking apart in the vacuum of space. On the jungle planet, Yoon Hae-ri released her biological weapons. Clouds of toxic spores rose from the trees like green smoke. Swarms of poisonous insects flew toward the alien positions. The predators she had trained roared as they charged out of the deep jungle. The jungle rises, she announced, as she watched the alien soldiers flee in panic. Their breathing equipment could not filter out all the toxins. Their weapons were useless against an entire ecosystem that wanted them dead. One alien tried to run toward his ship, but a trained jungle cat jumped on him from above. Another group of aliens fired their weapons at the approaching animals, but the creatures were too fast and too smart. The jungle had become a living nightmare for the invaders. On the desert planet, Jang Woo-jin activated the ancient defensive systems at full power. The ruins glowed with energy that had been building for months. Beams of light shot up from the ground, reaching into space to strike the alien fleet. The Guardians have awakened, he declared as the ancient weapons destroyed ship after ship. With perfect accuracy, the technology was so advanced that it could hit moving targets millions of miles away. Lee the Jin watched the symbols on the walls glow brighter as the machines used more power. The ancients built this to fight invaders, she said with awe. It has been waiting for us to activate it. In space, Captain Lee Min-ho led his fleet of captured ships against the main Kethfer force. His human crews had learned to use the alien technology better than the aliens themselves. They flew with the desperate skill of survivors who had nothing left to lose. This is for every human who died in your ambush. Min-ho broadcast to the enemy fleet as his ships struck at their formation. This is for every friend we lost when you destroyed our home. The human ships moved like wolves hunting a herd, worked together perfectly, each one covering the others. The aliens had superior numbers, but the humans had superior motivation. Overlord Zethtak watched from his flagship as his fleet was destroyed from all directions. The ice moon was throwing deadly debris at his supply ships. The jungle planet was killing his ground forces with biological weapons. The desert planet was shooting his ships out of space with impossible accuracy. And the human pirates were attacking his main fleet with captured vessels. "How is this possible?" he screamed. At his officers, they were scattered. They were broken. They were supposed to die. "Sir, they are coordinating perfectly," his aide replied with fear in his voice. "Even though they are on different worlds, they fight as one force." "Impossible," Zethtak growled. "We destroyed their ship. We separated them. We had no way to communicate." But Captain Lee Minho's voice came through the communication system, clear and strong. "You made one mistake, alien. You thought humans were like the other species you conquered. You thought we would give up and die quietly." "We adapt," came Kim Dongwoo's voice from the ice moon. "We learn," added Yoonhari from the jungle. "We survive," finished Jang Woojin from the desert. "And we remember," Minho concluded, as his ship fired the final shot that crippled. The Zethtak's flagship, the surviving Kethfer ships, retreated in panic. They had come to destroy a weak exploration vessel. Instead, they had found something the galaxy had never seen before. Humans who became stronger when they were broken, survivors who turned every hardship into a weapon. The humans sent a message to Earth: "We are still here. We are coming home."